Be ready. 5 seconds. Start. It is very careful about preserving that reputation. Let us not therefore pursue this talk of expropriating foreign capital. It is not worth it. We are not such a poor country as to go about indulging in tactics which will lose us the goodwill and the credit of the world, and which will perhaps leave a feeling of wrongdoing in our minds and hearts. Even inside our own country, we cannot think of schemes and policies in isolation. We deal, for example, with the Jamindari system and other schemes relating to land. What are referred to as schemes of social engineering cannot often be dealt with in the normal way of acquisition of land or property. We cannot acquire the whole land at once. We have to go about it gradually. We have to find out about our capacity to pay, and then the payment can be graded. That is when we acquire the property, as we did in the case of Jamindars. The relatively poor Jamindar gets full compensation, 100%. Another person may get about 80%, the third 70%, and the fourth 60%. There is no trouble there. But let us look at the industrial and business ventures. We are acquiring the Imperial Bank. So far as I know, we are paying pretty full compensation in whatever form it may be. By not doing so, we may save a little money here and there, but it will injure us. It will be even more wrong in the case of the small owners not to give them full compensation. I am surprised that one of these minutes of dissent hints that we are out to harm the small owner. I submit that it is an unfair charge. Nobody can do it. How can we, this parliament or this government? Can anybody conceive of this parliament or any other legislature going out to harm the small owner? The self interest of the average member will shout out against such a step if nothing else. Coming to industrial property, our approach is that the government should never acquire any old plant except for the purpose of holding some strategic point for the benefit of planning. The reasons behind this approach are obvious. We are an underdeveloped country, industrially speaking. We want to industrialize the country. We want hundreds of factories to go up in every corner of the country. We are not going to acquire anything unless it comes in the way of our planning. The idea, which is sometimes put forward by some honorable members, oppose it, that a kind of general scheme of nationalization would bring about great equalization is incorrect. Drastic equalization in that way simply means equalization of the lowest stage of property. That is not good enough. We want to raise our country's standards and yet bring about this equalization so that we can go towards an egalitarian society. The whole idea of nationalization does not come into the picture at all, except that when planning requires that some strategic point which comes in its way should be taken possession of the state should control it. Otherwise, the state should go ahead and build up new state plants. The public sector becomes bigger and more important and productive, letting the private sector advance simultaneously. If the public sector is eating into the private sector, there is no total advance, even though there might be some advantage from the social point of view. We shall only be losing our resources by shifting a factory from the private to the public sector. The House will forgive me if I often talk about atomic energy. I do that because I wish people to realize how the whole basis of our future industrial living pattern may be affected. I have no doubt that just as we were affected by the advent of steam and electric power, the advent of atomic power in the next 10, 15, or 20 years will make a vast difference to the running of all our factories. This is another reason why we should not go about wasting national resources in mere acquisition of property when we can build other plants which are more modern. And if we have to acquire property, we should pay just and equitable compensation. There may be many rich men owing these interests, but many of these large properties are limited liability companies with a large number of shareholders. We do not wish to deprive them. I therefore say again that all this apprehension is completely misplaced. It ignores not only existing conditions in India but the probable future line of advance. We talk about a socialist pattern of society, industrialization, the removing of unemployment, of higher standards, and so on. What is really necessary is somehow to activize and dynamize the base of the Indian social structure. I want the House to appreciate this phrase. No doubt there must be approaches from the top, but there has been too much activizing from the top layers too. We need to reform the industry. Broadly speaking, every industry and industrialist is entitled to grow to their fullest potential, but without recourse to unethical practices or evasion of dues to the state. We need to also reform the mentality of the common citizen. He must realize the imperatives of hard work, quality work, and discipline. Responsible citizenry demands no less, and bearing those who belong to the weaker sections of the society and hence deserve all the support of affirmative action that we can render unto them. The others should being to respect the laws which fashion and govern a sound economy, which means they must pay for what they use. And yes, they must also get what they pay for. In short, the nation as a whole needs to reform itself in order to be able to effectively face the new challenges and seize the new opportunities of the 21st century. Let us together create a mindset revolution to harmonize the objectives of economic liberalization and social liberalization. Let us together build a strong, prosperous, and self confident India freed from the curses of mass unemployment, illiteracy, and other manifestations of underdevelopment. And let us make India a global economic power in the 21st century. The key to translating this vision into reality is growth with employment and equity.